Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Yan, mamaya lalabas si Wolverine. Yes. Welcome to church. Welcome to Victory Greenhills. If it's your first time here, we're glad you're able to join us. For the next 2 weeks, we have a topic that's really close to the heart of God and really to the heart of the church, which is the next generation. Sino sa inyo dito, bata pa, you're young, pwedeng sumigaw lahat ng mga bata? Parang youth service. Alright. Yung iba mukha lang young eh. Who among you are in high school or college? Can you just wave? Alright. Good. Okay. Those who are working in high school and college. Okay. So, marami po tayong bata dito. No? We've made a survey. Almost 75% of our crowd is under 35 years old. Here in Greenhills. So, batang-bata tayo. Dapat maingay tayo palagi. Kasi bata pa tayo, eh, no? When I went to Ignite, may nare-rekindle sa akin, eh. Pagpasok ko ng Cuneta, may 7,000 kabataan nandoon. 7,000 kids, not kids, young people. And when you get there, alam mo yung may amoy? Na-experience mo ba yun? Yung pag umuwi yung mga anak nyo galing school, naglaro siya sa playground, tapos niyakap ka niya. Yung ganong amoy. Yung ba pag inamoy mo, parang, bumabalik ako nung youth pastor pa ako. Amoy medyas, na hindi nilabhan. Okay? Parang yung mga ganon yung amoy, no? And yung mantika na nandoon. And it's just the smell of the harvest and the smell of the next generation. And though it doesn't really smell good, the future really looks bright if you look at the young people. Sobra ako na-rekindle, no? Nung nandun ako sa conference, talagang dinicide ko talaga sa heart ko, we will invest in the next generation. I think it would be dumb of us as a church not to reach out to the next generation. The moment and the day we make a decision not to invest in the next generation is the day we decided we're going to die as a church. Maraming simbahan, nakakalimutan nila na yung next generation, ito yung magiging simbahan. This is the church, the next generation. And our nation is a very young nation. Our median age is 22. Ganun po kabatang Pilipinas. Average age po mga Pilipino is 22. Sa Europe, average median age is 46. Sipin nyo, ang layo. Okay, in Egypt, it's 40. In some of the other nations, it's really high, 30 plus. Sa US, 30 plus ang median age. Ang mga Pilipino, 22. Isipin mo lahat ng makikita mo sa labas, average age niyan, pumapatak yan from 15 to 25. That's the age of our nation today. Very young generation. And if we don't see that this is so important, we'll miss the whole point. We'll one day realize, bakit naging ganito yung simbahan natin at nawala na yung fire ni God? It's because we've forgotten the next generation. Let me give you an example, no, sa secular world. Ang Boston Celtics, sino dito Boston Celtics? Alright? Okay. Ako since Larry Bird days pa. Okay? Kilala niyo si Larry Bird? Yung maiksi yung shorts. Okay? Okay? Yung Boston, kumuha ng 3 veterano. Si Ray Allen, si Paul Pierce, at saka si Kevin Garnett. Okay? Nanalo ng Boston ng isang championship for the past 3-4 years na kinuha nila tong Big Three nila. And I think they will never win again. And next year, they said they're going to rebuild the Celtics. In short, when they invested and took older guys, they were looking for just 1 to 2 years of success. Now, let's look at sino dito Miami Heat? Duwag eh. Duwag na. Okay. Ang Miami, nag-invest sila sa mga bata. Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, di ba? At saka yung film nilang coach. Nax, okay. Diba? And they invested in this. Why? Because they were predicting we want to take over the league for the next 5 to 7 years. In short, they will be title contenders for the next 5 to 7 years. They were looking not just for this year. In fact, this year, they're not yet at their prime. Doon gagaling na nila, they're not yet at their prime. Ibig sabihin, next year, mas gagaling pa yan. Okay? Mas tataas pa yung talon ni LeBron. Okay? Mas magiging payat pa si Chris Bosh and all. Diba? And these are the future of NBA. Okay? And so they were looking 5 to 7 years, and I hope we think like Miami Heat. Na hindi tayo dito, iniisip natin, kunin na natin ngayon yung mga mas matatanda. Now, Mahal na mahal ko mga matatanda. Pag wala kayo, wala kaming pera. Hindi, okay, but really, thank you for funding the church. But a lot of people, even when we started our movement, they said to Pastor Steve, it's crazy for you to start a church in New Belt. Because if you start a church with young people, you're going to die financially. Nobody's going to fund the church. And all these churches that told us that Victory is going to die a very fast death, now look at where we are now after 20 plus years. We're growing. Why? Because we believe in the next generation. Ito yung opportunity na pwede natin kunin either to invest in the next generation or say, let's forget about the next generation, antayin na natin tamandayan bago tayo mag-invest. Right? And that is our heart. We are deliberate about building this church with the young people in mind, with the next generation in mind. All right? That's why you see a lot of young people here, and some of the parents who are here today because your kids are here. And it's a deliberate, strategic move that we've made as a church and as a movement to invest in the next generation. Now, I'm not saying the church is just for young people. I hope you don't get it. Don't get it in that way. But the church is also for old people and young people. Dapat ang generation ngayon, saka yung generation in the past, nag-ano yan? They work together and they partner together. That makes a great church. Pag ang mga mas matatanda, sinusuportahan yung mga bata, saka yung mga bata natututo sa mga matatanda. And at the same time, yung mga bata nalo-launch into effective ministry. Right? This is what we want to happen in our church. Okay? We want to be like Miami Heat. Okay? And the question we ask always is, when you see the next generation, what do you see? Ano ba nakikita mo? Do you see a potential or do you see a problem? May dalawang salesmen, pinadala sila sa isang island ng isang shoe company. Pagdating nila doon, yung unang salesman, nakita, walang mga sapatos yung mga islander. So sabi niya, nako, mukhang lugi tayo dito. The second one went and saw the same thing. In the same island, same people. They went back and gave two different reports. The first one said, sir, wag na tayo magtayo ng kumpanya dito sa island na to. Bakit? Kasi walang nagsasapatos, lahat nakatsinelas, malulugi tayo. Yung pangalawang salesman, sabi niya, sir, bukas magtayo na rin tayo ng factory dito sa island na to at magbenta na tayo dahil wala pang nakasapatos doon. It's the same island, same people, but different perspective. A lot of us today, we have two different perspectives when it comes to young people. When we see young people, we look at them and say, mga barya lang pwedeng bigay nito. Yeah? Or the others would say, this is the future of the church. This is why Christ died. Because for these people to advance the kingdom of God while they have all the energy and the enthusiasm and the passion and the fire. Two different perspectives. What do you see when you see young people? Nakikita mo ba yung ingay? Nakikita mo ba yung mga pagganong-ganon nila? There's rising in your soul. Di ba? Parang natatakot ako. Sabi ko, worship ba yun? Di ba? You kind of like, okay, ibang ira na ata to. Okay? Yung sa amin, iba pa eh. Parang, eyes. Di ba? Parang ganun yung amin eh. Di ba? Ito ngayon, paiba na eh. Di ba? And it's a different level. But what do you see when you see young people? Do you see a potential or do you see problems? You see dirt? You see smell? Or do you see how God can use this next generation? One of our speakers in Ignite is Cesar. Si Cesar, I worked with him at the Fort for 1 year. He was from Cebu. He studied here. And he worked in our church at the Fort. Si Cesar, former drug pusher. When he was a teenager. When he was a young person, he sells drugs. God got a hold of him, and now he's preaching. He just preached to 7,000 people. He's our only provincial speaker in Ignite. An ibang klase yung impartation na binigay niya. Pag nakita mo, maintindihan mo, grabe. Paano ginawa to ni Lord? Kung dati nakikita ko sa kanya, drug pusher, ngayon preacher. And now he's being groomed to be one of our major leaders in our city in Cebu, in Mandaue. Dahil God can use even the most, negative or whoever that person is and transform him by the power of the gospel when he died on the cross for our sin so that we can be used for his glory. What do you see when you see young people? May isa lang akong verse for today. Hebrews 11:23. Okay? It talks about Moses, the parents of Moses. It says, by faith, Moses' parents hid him for 3 months after he was born because they saw he was no ordinary child. Okay, tingnan niyo yung mga anak niyo. Special child ba yan? Okay? And they were not afraid of the king's edict. Sabi sa Bible, yung mga parents daw ni Moses, nung nakita si Moses nung bata pa, sabi niya, mukhang ibang bata to. They saw something in him that no other people could see. And they saw a future in the life of Moses. Okay? What do you see? Napanood niyo ba ang Kung Fu Panda? Di ba? Ano nakita nung goose? Di ba? Oh, this would be my ano. Di ba? So, di ba? Makita mo, iba yung nakita niya, iba yung nakikita nung iba. It's different perspective. You know, when we started this church 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, we were deliberate about having younger people in staff. I was 27 then. I have an admin who was 21, and Pastor Bojo. And every time we would hire people, we would look, sana mas creative, mas innovative, yung kayang makirambol pa. Okay? Yung kayang makipag-wrestling sa amin. And we were very young. Up until now, we still have a very young team. Chinecheck ko lang yung age nung nagpapatakbo ng Victory Greenhills, no? Bigay ko, here's the example. Si Christian is 28. Where's Christian? Nakita ko si Christian. Yeah, 28. Si Hermie is 28. Laika's 27. Charles is 22. Si Gantz is 34, older than me. Jason, 33, older than me. Pastor Larry, 37, older than me. Si Ethel is beautiful and single. Okay. Si Joash is 22. I'm 33 now. And of course, our youngest, si Pastor Tito, around 25 to 48. Okay, somewhere there. Okay? And, wala na siya dito ngayon, di ba? Okay, nag-walk out eh. Alam niya, joke ko siya, no? But, the reason he's there is because pang-balance lang. Okay? Minsan, siya yung mga bata, huy, tama ng laro. Okay, meeting na tayo. Okay, preach na kayo. Okay? And then, daw si Carol, batang-bata, yung asawa ni Pastor. Nakita niyo na yung asawa ni Pastor Tito? Si Carol, pwedeng tayo ka lang. Carol is 23. Okay? Nung una ko nakita si Carol, sabi ko, oh, Pastor Tito, panganay niyo? Hindi, lang. Hindi, ganda talaga ni Carol eh. Alright, but we're a young church. Okay? Most of you here are young. You're under 35. Who here is under 35? Taas ang kamay. Wave. Look. Okay? This is a young church, and I believe God is about to do something in our church that would impact not just the city of San Juan, but wherever you go. What we're envisioning and what I see is I'm not here to get the Gokongways. I'm here to get the Gokongway Junior. Okay? We're here to get the future leaders, the future politicians, the future artists, celebrities in the future of this nation. God is investing in the next generation because He sees something in the next generation. Pag tinignan niyo yung Bible, almost all of them were used when they were young. Okay? Pero ang pagdi-disciple ng young person requires faith. Bakit? Dahil pag bata pa yan, minsan hindi mo nakikita eh. Tagal. Lalo na pag galing kids church yan, 5 years old, after 10 years, doon mo palang makikita, oh, nakuha niya pala yung mga tinuturo ko sa kanya. It would require great faith for us to disciple the next generation. It's not easy to disciple the next generation. When you get younger crowds, it's harder to run a church with younger crowds. That's what I said. Financially, it's not the wisest move. But we're believing and sticking to the calling that God would provide even as we reach out to the next generation. There's something about the next generation that God is so pleased that He wants the church to invest in the next generation. What do you see when you see young people? Okay? Ano ba nakikita natin? Ang ganda nung sinabi sa Hebrews 11:23, because by faith, even though the parents of Moses, hindi pa niya nakikita, bata pa lang, wala namang alam yung bata eh. By faith, they saw something about this child, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. In short, at that time, pinapapatay lahat ng mga sons ng mga Israelites. Dahil natatakot sila, dumadami yung mga Israelites. Pag dumami yan, mayroong magpapalit sa king ng Egypt. So they had to kill all the sons of the young male na mga Israelites. The devil wants to take our generation. And as a church, what we need to do is to put up a fight. To be strategic. Kung si Satan may plan for the generation, for this generation, God and the church must also have a plan for the next generation. I believe the next generation will see one of the greatest awakenings the world has ever seen. Alam mo, si God sineset up tong generation natin for something really great. You know why? Let me tell you why. there's never a time in history where everybody is really equal. Why? Because of the internet. Because of the internet, lahat po tayo ngayon may access to the same information. And a lot of them are free. Yung pinag-aralan ni Pastor Tito sa Bible School for how many years, and he spent hundreds of thousands studying doctrine and theology, I could now get for free and put it in my iPod. And I could catch up with the knowledge that he has because it has become the great equalizer. It means that as a 20-year-old, hindi ako 20-year-old, no, but as a 30-year-old, I can be as rich as some of the 50, 60-year-old businessmen if I really make it big in the online business. It means now I have access to the world. I can order from China. I can order anywhere because of the internet. And it's the same thing for the church. If the church uses this as a great equalizer, the age that we live in today, and empower young people, we would see a great awakening. Sabi nila, di ba? Half of the world has never heard the gospel. You know, in just 3 months, it's possible that the whole world can hear the gospel. Because of the age we live in today, which is the digital age. And we must use and we must leverage on the young people because God believes in young people. Some of the most successful entrepreneurs are 35 years old below. Millionaires today are young millionaires. They're not old. 20, 25, 30, 35. Mga bata lahat yan. Yung may-ari namang inasal, 33 years old. Kung akala natin, walang potential sa young people, we're mistaken. Francis Kong in one of his talks said, before, business, kids would look to the trend that the business people would try to make. Example, like ako, nasa fashion industry ako, sa Divisoria. Okay? So kung March, April, May, mga floral yan. So bibili na kami ng mga ibang colors, summer colors, by November. Kami ang nagsiset ng trend. Ngayon, iba na. Hindi na ganon. Ngayon, young people are the trend. Kung anong gustong suotin ni Justin Bieber, yun yung susuotin ng lahat ng believers. Okay? Kung gusto niya magsuot ng sando na may butas-butas, tapos naka-good morning textile siya na, gagayahin ng lahat yan. Okay. Nagets nyo? Kung gusto ni Derek Ramsey maging magkakatawan kami, gagawin niya yon, okay? And people will follow, alright? Kung gusto kong makapal ang kilay ko, okay, wala na akong magagawa dyan. But anyway, grabe. Ibig sabihin, ngayon, the world looks at the young people. The youth market is a $150 billion industry. It's big. And people are getting a hold of the young people. That's why Nickelodeon, Disney, they all are targeting the 3, 4, 5 years old. Target them while they're young. You get them till they're 50, 60 years old. It's a wise thing to do. Invest in the next generation. Now, knowing this, what do we do as a church? Tatlong bagay lang. Number 1, we fund the young people. We don't fight them. Fund them, not fight them. Most of the time, ang stance sa simbahan, mali ang ginagawa niyo mga kabataan, masyado kayong radikal. Huwag na kayo hingi ng pera. Instead, it goes another way around. I fund the young people. I fund the youth ministry. I fund the movement of our church for young people. We invest a percentage of our church money to go to the next generation. We fund them, we don't fight them. Why? Because the world funds the next generation. Tingnan mo yung mga McDonald's. They believe in young people. They fund young people. Bakit? Hindi lang may Happy Meal. Punta ka pa sa ibang McDonald's, 1/3 of their space, playground. But may playground sa fast food because they believe in young people. That's why they put it there. Right? Nike believes in young people. Apple believes in young people. Kaya nga, ang cool ng mga gadget natin. Di ba? Pag hawak ng young person, parang, may iPad ako. Diba? May iPad. Bakit? Iniisip nila mga bata, mahal nila yung pera ng mga bata. And that's why they invest in the next generation. Right? MTV and all this all these recording companies, they believe in young people. Tingnan mo si Miley Cyrus, kakanta lang, millions of dollars ang bayad sa kanya. Right? You look at Justin Bieber and how he's so rich now, and a lot of young celebrities today are being destroyed by the wealth and the fame and the power that they have. Why? Because the world believes in them. And they just invest in them and they make them famous, influential, strong, and powerful. Si LeBron James, high school pa lang yan, 16 years old, tumalo na sa NBA. They see something in these young people and they invest in them. And I'm not saying they're bad investment, but sometimes they can't control the money that they receive. Tanong, ang simbahan, do we invest in young people? How many of you have ever given to our campus missionaries and say, Bojo, you're doing a great job with our kids. Here, get 1 million. Yes, for your wedding. Yeah. Hindi. Sometimes it's even a thankless job. And we treat them like they're yaya of your kids. They're not. We fund them. We don't fight them. Some of their ideas are really way too radical for me. Sometimes they make events parang, gusto ko na lang sabihin, mukhang sa panahon namin, di ba? Ayoko naman maging ganun, parang uncool eh, di ba? Di ba? But then, we empower them and we fund them. You need a bus for Ignite? Go. We'll give you a bus for Ignite. Some young people cannot go to the youth camp. We'll try to support some of them. We fund these people. We support them. Kung ang world nagsusupport kila Miley, kila Justin, kila Lebron, paano naman sa atin? Sabi ni Andy Stanley, no, one of the successful pastors in the States, my job as a leader is to fund them and set them up for success, not fight them. Let's not fight the move of God among the young people. Rather, let's fund them. Right? Sometimes we won't understand the volume of the music. Sometimes we won't understand the clothing or the terms that they use. But instead of fighting them, I just fund them. Because I believe that God is about to do something among the young people today. And God is building that platform for them so that the gospel will be spread. Sabihin ko sa inyo, sino dapat yung mga sinusupport nyo? Hindi si Miley, Justin, or si Lebron. Etong mga kailangan nyo support. Si Joa, si Bojo, si Ethel. Okay. Yeah. Yan ang mga superstars natin. Yan ang mga nagtatrabaho. Now, some of us, we don't understand this. I went the same route as these guys. They're campus missionaries. In short, they're not paid by the church. They work for Lifebox. They partner with us, Victory. Okay? But these guys, they treat Victory Greenhills as their home church. In short, itong mga to, they raise their own money. They're not getting paid. Now, we give them a certain amount of money, but not to the point that they don't need to ask for partners, financial partners outside. They need to do that, and they live by faith doing that. Mahirap yan. Gigising yan sa umaga, like si Bojo. July na yung kasal ni Bojo. Invited pala kayo lahat. Magkano entrance fee? 3,000 daw. Okay, per plate. Covered na, bro. Okay. These guys normally wakes up and say, where will the money come from now? This month. But they live by faith. And they invest their time. They go to campuses. Okay. They go in the houses of these young people. They engage with the young people. It's a thankless job. But they do it not for the money. You don't become a campus missionary para yumaman ako. It's not. You go there for the love of Jesus. And as a church, we need to partner with them. Kaya after the service, if you have a heart to partner with youth ministry, go to these guys. Tell them we want to invest in you. Can we have an appointment? And they'll present something to you. Right? And I pray that you would partner really with them and see the great cause that they're doing for our church. So we fund them, we don't fight them. Number 2, we learn from them. Not look down on them. Ano sabi sa Bible? Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young. Now that's the scripture talking to young people. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. Now, for those of us who are adult, it means don't look down on young people because they are young. Rather than holding them back, listen to them. Rather than us, looking down on them, we've got to listen to them. Alam mo, ang daming magagandang ideas ng mga young people today. Kaya nga sinabi ko, lahat ng mga yayaman ngayon, mga bata, I subscribe to magazines, secular magazines, and I love reading it because of how we can see how the world is changing because of young people. Here's one. Bata pa itong nasa cover. It says here, this guy works 1 hour a day and makes $10 million a year. Young person. Right? Batang-bata pa. Okay? You've got Success Magazine. Alicia Keys talks about her success and how she tells us all on how we could be successful. Here's another one. Shaun White. From age 7, he already got a mega deal. He's now 22 and he's really earning billions of dollars. And his only job is to do extreme skateboarding. You know what this article said about Shaun White? It says here, if Shaun signed on, our plan was to build $1 billion franchise. If not, we wouldn't pursue it. The world believes in young people. The world doesn't look down on young people. The world invests on young people. They listen to young people. Ngayon, si Shaun White pa nagsasabi, gusto ko ganito yung mga shirt. Gusto ko ganito yung clothing line ko. Gusto ko ganito yung amoy ng perfume ko. Okay? Sipin mo, ganito itsura niya. Okay? Nagagawa niya yon. Okay? Why? For some of us, makakita tayong bata pa yan. Dali mo yan sa kids table. Usap kayo doon ng G.I. Joe nyo. Okay? Or something. Or Barbie. Okay? Kami dito, matatanda kami. Mga pag-usapan namin dito, earth-shattering. Kasal ni Chris, or ganyan, or something, di ba? Kayo mga bata kayo dyan eh. No, we have to think differently now. What do you see when you see young people? Listen to them. You know, a lot of kids, what their complaints are? My parents are not listening. Dami na palang sugat. Di pa tayo nakikinig. Adults are not listening. I'm blessed to be part of a movement that listens to young people. We don't have a kids table when we have staff meeting. Hindi lang po kami nakaupo doon habang nag-uusap mga arsobispo. Doon kami. Meron kaming say, my voice, ang next generation. Okay. And thirdly, what we need to do is to launch them and not hold them back. Minsan kasi pagka young people, ganito ang stance natin, wag mo na, masyado pa kayong bata. Pag 18 na kayo. No, we launch them. What does the Bible say? In Psalms 127, it says, children are a heritage from the Lord. They're an offspring, a reward from Him. Like arrows in the hands of like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. Paano pinicture yung next generation? They're like arrows. You launch them. Saan mo nilo-launch yan? Di naman sa loob ng bahay eh. You launch them outside. Young people, it's about time you'll be launched out into the real world and face real problems and face real people and not just video games. It means you've got to sharpen yourself now. Habang bata pa ako, natututo na ako. Alam ko na yung value ng pera. Nagbabasa na ako ng Bible. Nagbabasa na ako ng mga libro. And I feed my mind good stuff rather than just playing trivial games, looking at the future because I know one day. Parents, you know why a lot of parents are overprotective and they can't release their kids? Because they fail to sharpen them. Takot. Ha? 32 ka na. Kaya mo ba talaga yan? Di ba? Tanda na yan. And the reason we can't is because we've never sharpened them. Parents, you've got to do your job. As pastors, limited lang kami. 1 hour a week ang interaction namin with your kids. Pero kayo, 8 hours a day. 6 hours a day, kasama nyo yan. Kayo ang responsible if you're going to sharpen them or not. And to even think that it's our role to make your kids good, you're mistaken. Uy, dali natin yung anak natin sa neon para naman maging mabait. Pastor Bojo, tanggalin mo nga yung sungay nito. Okay? Dali mo sa neon. It's not glorified babysitting service. Yung kids church natin, saka live box natin, saka neon natin, hindi po yan babysitting, hindi po yan childcare. Okay? What we teach your kids there is not to be good boys and girls, but we're launching them for life. It means we'll teach them principles that sometimes when they go home, they'll challenge how you think because you're not thinking biblically. Young people are like arrows in the hands of a warrior. The Bible says, blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. The more young people we have, the blessed we are. It means we'll launch people into their destiny. You know why I'm so blessed? Because at the age of 13, aside from my parents, there were people from church. Sila Pastor Ferdy, once a week, pupuntang bahay yan. Alam mo, looking at it now, nakakatawa, pero alam kong may impact. Alam mo gagawin yan? No kidding to, ha? Josh, dito ka. Gaganon yan sa amin. Minsan nasa table, titingnan ka niyan, Dennis. Yes, Pastor Ferdy. Ganun ba? Yes, Pastor Ferdy. Titingin yan sa mata mo, tapos sabihin niya, you're a leader. Para kaming brainwash talaga. You're a leader. Tapos sabihin niya, preach ka to thousands. Kami naman, huh? We couldn't see. Nobody could see. My parents can see, but somebody saw something there. Gagamitin to ni Lord. Talaga? You launch them into ministry. Fan into flame the gift of God through the laying on of your hands. Older people here, fan into flame the gift of God that is among the young people. Okay? Okay. Yeah. Dito ka na. Through the laying on of hands. When I saw Josh, he was 13. He was 13 years old. He went to our church. Who would ever thought I'll be working with this guy? Naging dream ko na yun nung nakita ko na siyang lumaki. Sabi ko, sana makatrabaho ko to si Joash. Ibang klaseng bata to. Special kid talaga to. Right? But at the time, he was 13. Who would have thought he would be someone who's so influential? Who would have thought he would go to different cities in this nation and preach the gospel? Who would ever thought he'll be a student leader? Who would ever thought? Wala. Pag pinupunta ko yung sa school, malapit ka. Alam niyo yung sa may Aurora, yung Vivian ba yun? Yung Tapsi? Tapsi ni Vivian. Sarap doon. Grabe. Alam niyo yan? Okay. Yan, doon lang ako, no? Inaantay ko siya. Nagsasuffer ako kasi tosino, tapa. Di ba? Tapos mag-meet lang kami, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, uwi na raw siya. Kasi baka hanapin ng magulang. But I'll stay there. And we look at these kids. At that time, they were kids. They were really very young. May amoy ka pa nun, bro. But who would have thought? Psycho, the reason I was there in Tapsi ni Vivian is because there was a Pastor Ferdy who would wait for me in Orange Julius sa Pasong Tamo Extension. Because there would be an Omeng Cervantes who would go to our house when I was 12. Because there would be people who would invest their lives to us when we were young. And now the same thing he's doing now. Nakatambay na ngayon si Josh sa Starbucks. Nax! Grabe, sosi mo talaga. Okay, di ba? Why? Because somebody believed in them and now they're passing on the torch to the next generation. I want Pastor Josh to share to you how God has changed him and how God has been using him to transform this generation. Palakpakan naman natin si Pastor Josh.
Yeah, before anything else, I just want to honor Pastor Dennis. Can we give him again, just to honor him? Magti 10 years na po, looking back. I'm 22 right now, turning 23 on August 1. Talagang inanos. It's really amazing na looking, wow, ang bilis naman ng pangyayari, almost 10 years. And I just want to pose that question. You might be thinking, can I be, think this way, can I make an impact in a teenager's life. 10 years from now, will I have made a difference, an impact in someone else's life? And Pastor Dennis, God used him. I praise God for him. And also some of the people that God used to build me up. And I want to share my story. You know, I believe everyone sa atin may kanya-kanya tayong unique stories worth sharing. You know, you might think na yung story mo yung the most happiest, no? Sobrang makulay lang. And you might think na yung story mo masyadong madrama. No? Alam, Mara Clara. No? Kung nanonood ka nun, tapos na po. Patay na si Gary. Alright. And you know, like me, no? You might think na yung story mo boring, no? Kasi I grew up in a Christian family. I knew Jesus as my Savior. I was young, but I knew deep within my heart, there has to be something more than just dying and getting to the gates of heaven. There's something in me, and I knew, you know, by God's grace, God led me to this group called, Kuya, can you please help me with that? You know, God led me in this movement. I was 13 years old at that time. I don't know if you're familiar with this. Youth on Fire. All right? Before, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, it was like our neon. It was like our Ignite. And I was 13 years old, and when I entered that place, wow. That was in Galleria, Robbins Galleria. It's still existing. You might want to visit there. Mga 500, 700 young people, high school and college students, so passionate for Jesus, raising up their hands. First time ko yun, medyo culture shock. Wow, madilim, parang didisco. But these young people are crying out to Jesus. They're giving their whole life to Him. And so I was drawn to their passion. And, soon I was discipled on one-on-one and in small group setting. And there I really understood that by God's grace, I could be a significant part of what He is doing in my generation. There in Youth on Fire, we were challenged like what Pastor Dennis sabi niya kanina, you would need 3 things to be a faithful disciple. You need a ball pen, you need a notebook, and you need a passport. Passport? Because you need to be ready anytime. Diba? Sama ka sa 10 days. Ganon kami dinidisciple talaga. You will be a world changer. So kami naman, bata kami. Alright, sige, Lord, basta I love you, I will follow you in small things. But as I look back, it's happening. Young people being sent out 10 days. Pastor Christian Ongtangko and my brother who was in high school, UP Diliman, just went out to Macau for 10 days. It's really happening. And, what I realize is this. When the young people humble themselves, when the older generations humble themselves and they collaborate, God puts His favor and blesses people like that, and He makes things happen for His glory. Amen? I want to share, when I was in high school, si Pastor Des, minimit niya kami nga doon sa Tapsi ni Vivian. And sa Tapsi ni Vivian, hindi lang ako. Also, I would bring my high school friends, and he would challenge us habang kumakain kami ng, syempre, Tapsi. Masarap yung Tapsi, ng sausaw suka and all. And actually, Pastor Dennis, yung 2 of those people in the crowd na dinidisciple niya kami, sa small group pala, hindi lang ako, I'm just one of the stories. 2 of them are right now in full-time ministry. Ang isa po sa kanila ay also, like me, campus missionary with Lifebox. Oh, she's from Galleria. And another one, naging part din siya ng church plant natin sa Tacloban. And now she's working as one of the staff sa ating compassion ministries called Real Life Foundation. And I'm not alone, I'm just part of it. But, someone believing in us, someone challenging us, one day, you'll make a difference for God. And I saw how God worked when people come together. And in my college years, looking back, I was a teenager when I was in college. I studied. It was a hard decision for me, but I know that God has called me to enter into a Bible school. I studied po in Phoebus College of Bible. There, nakita ko na hindi lang pala ako. Most of us are all teenagers. Straight from high school, knew that God called us for this. And, God, by His grace, He caused me to work in student leadership positions. I was 16 years old when I started leading my own mission trip in Batangas. We went all the way from Batangas, Pangasinan, Mindoro, Benguet. May mga kasama po ako mga ibang university students there. All the way to from Palawan to Surigao. I was a teenager, but we were not alone. We had advisors, we had older men challenging us, believing in us, you could do it. Plan for it, we could do it together. And di ko po makakalimutan, isa sa mga sobrang challenging project that we did as teenagers during that time. I was junior. I was privileged to be president of the organization called Student Missionary Fellowship. And for 2 consecutive years, I served as the president. And you know what? My executive team are all teenagers. Tawa nga kami ng tawa. But we're serious about it and we want to be used by God. And yung isa sa mga project namin, we were tasked to raise funds for an orphanage, a school in Antipolo. Also, in Grace Christian Mission, we were tasked to raise about 200,000 for their elementary school building, the student center nila. And you know what? Lo and behold, after the 1 month of raising funds, we were able to raise more than 250,000, 250 plus. All by God's grace, people coming together. We were, looking back, teenagers mobilizing the whole campus to make this thing happen. And not only that, we were able to also fund a student center in Abongan, Palawan. Also in another campus, another elementary school in Binuangan, Nueva Vizcaya. And all these is because of God's grace and the people who believed in us, who challenged us as teenagers. And now that I'm 22 years old, it's so much fun. It's a privilege to be working with Pastor Bojo and Ethel in our youth ministry here in Greenhills and Neon po. In Neon, we are flooded by high school teenagers. So we're focusing on teenagers and from various high school universities, from OB Montessori, LaSalle Greenhills, Ika, Xavier, okay? Sabi ko na ba yung OB? And even Poveda, Miriam, and Ateneo. Student-led cluster groups, small groups, discipling other students. And it's so amazing. It's so exciting for us now. I can't wait to see what would happen in the coming years. 10 years from now, 5 years from now. And all this because of God's favor when 2 generations come together. It says in Proverbs 20 verse 29, the glory of young men is their strength, their passion, their idealism. Diba? But the splendor of old men is their gray hair. It gives us a picture when passion combined with wisdom collaborates. We need to co-labor. We need to be into this together. The church has always been for multi-generations. And that's what I want to challenge everyone. We could be a part of what God is doing. His story in this generation. Together, we could make history all for His greater fame and glory. Be a part of what God is doing in our generation.
All right, thank you, Pastor Josh. Let me just end. Tatlo lang naman, simple point, no? Stop, collaborate, and listen. Yes, kanta yun, ah. Stop. Okay. Stop fighting. Start funding them. Collaborate with them. Don't play the devil's advocate. Sometimes ganun tayo. Oh, hindi mo kaya yan. Let me play the devil's advocate. You don't know what you're saying. When you're being the devil's advocate, it means you're working for the devil. Okay? Yung history pala niyang devil's advocate, pag may ika-canonize na, may isang tao, ang trabaho niya, hanapan ng dumi yung tao para hindi maging saint. It's the same way, let's not play that role of a devil's advocate when we see the next generation. But I pray that we'll be collaborators. Ano bang kailangan mong tulong? Paano ba kita matutulungan? Magkano kailangan mo? Sana ganun tayo as a church mag-isip. By the way, yung V-Mall natin, we're now designing our place. Let me show you. There's no kids' church facility anywhere in San Juan that could come close to this. And here's the reason why. We're going to really invest millions of pesos for these rooms. Yan po yung magiging toddlers room natin. 0 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 12. It's a big space in our V-Mall because we're believing God that we're going to really see the next generation being catapulted into greatness so that they could live for the glory of God. Right? That's why we're investing. That's why we're serious about this. Right? That's why we need you to collaborate with us and partner with us to make these things happen. And let me just end, no, with this. You know, as a church, we've already made the decision. Right? We're going to invest in the next generation. Mas lalo pang babata tong simbahan na to. Kung feeling nyo bata na ako, mas marami pang batang aakyat dito sa stage. Dahil feeling ko tumatanda na ako pag nakikita ko sila. Yeah. But there will be more younger people. We'll see our heart. The heartbeat of this movement is to see the young people of our generation getting saved, getting transformed, and being discipled, because the future of this nation belongs to the young people.